Update. I saw my husband and my sister naked in my kitchen. Original post. I can't move. If I move, it becomes real. And I have to accept what I saw and think of what's next. I came home from work early and saw my sister's car, thinking maybe she was dropping off some food from her job. But no, I walk in and see my husband and sister naked in my kitchen. The kitchen I paid for. As soon as I registered what I saw, I got into my car and left. I kept driving. Just driving until I found a hotel I'm at now. I don't want to believe it. I don't know what to do. My sister, my only family, and my best friend, the one who's supposed to be there for me and support me. My husband, my person, my other half, the one who's supposed to love and respect me. The two most important people in my life have ruined everything. I've blocked them both on my phone. I don't want to hear any of the BS excuses they'll come up with. I don't want to confront this. I want to go back to this morning when everything was fine. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Just from a banking standpoint, as I work at a bank. File legal documents intending to separate. Open an individual bank account. Start your paychecks going there after you've filed your separation papers. I don't know what state you are in, whether it's a community property state or not, but keep everything as clear-cut as possible so there won't be issues down the road. Deal with them with your head held high as you can. Don't take their BS and cry when no one is watching. In front of them, be the badass that you are. They are the lowest of the low, and they will prey on your perceived weaknesses. Best of luck, OP. You need to be in every cheating sub. This is excellent advice, and something I don't think a lot of people know about. Unblock them and just let their calls go to voicemail. Turn the ringer off for each of them in your contacts. That way, you can get recorded proof of their apologies and excuses via voicemail. You may need that type of proof for your divorce. This is good advice. I hope OP sees this. I wouldn't have thought of that. Goodness, my heart breaks for the OP. This is devastating. If they leave voicemails, OP will still have those saved under blocked messages. At least I know that's how it is with iPhones. Just in case, OP may feel like she needs to keep them blocked for their own mental health. I feel like if it was me personally, I would need to. The my only family part is what hit me hard. I'm so sorry, OP. Yeah, we cut contact with our abusive parents 7 years ago. Thought we were supposed to have each other's backs. Always. Yeah, the betrayal is going to be the hardest part to get over. I'm so sorry. I have nothing but empathy for you, OP. Now for the update. Sorry for not replying to comments and not updating. Things have been hectic. I didn't think I needed to explicitly say this, but by naked, I meant they were butt naked and banging in the kitchen. I admit mentioning that I paid for the kitchen was odd and kind of funny, but anyone that knows me knows that the kitchen is my pride and joy. So yes, when I saw my sister and husband going at it in my kitchen, it stuck with me. And yes, they did see me. When I got to the hotel, I cried for a few hours, and then I just wanted to tell someone, anyone. The two people I would talk to when something happened in my life were the two I needed to talk about, and it was 11-something in the evening. So I wasn't going to disrupt my friends' evenings and burden them. So instead, I came to Reddit thinking not many would see it. The response I received was overwhelming. I want to say thank you to everyone that sent me kind words and advice. Thank you so much for all the virtual hugs. I only commented once, that is because I had so much to think about and do. I appreciate all the love and support. There was so much amazing advice given in the comments, and although a lot of it was American-based, I still appreciate it. But one thing I did see a lot was to unblock them and keep the texts and calls as evidence, so I did do that. After posting and another good cry, I knew that I had to get myself together. I didn't have my sister or any family to help, so I had to do it myself. I started researching what my next steps were. In the morning, my friend called me saying my sister contacted her wondering if I had been in contact with her. I told her what happened, and she very kindly offered her spare room and her day off work to help me sort stuff out. I called in sick at my job, and my friend helped get things done. I got in contact with my friend who works at a bank, and she helped me start sorting my financials. My friend also found me a lawyer to consult with. After my phone consultation with a lawyer, I was so overwhelmed. I now know why so many women don't divorce their cheating husbands. It's such a lengthy, expensive, and emotionally draining process. I fortunately make a stable income and can support myself, and we, fortunately, don't have kids. I have to remember that things aren't going to happen in one day, and it will all take time. As for the house, unfortunately, his parents bought it for us. And to be honest, after what I saw, I don't want it. I will try to get reimbursed for my beloved kitchen though. Otherwise, it can burn for all I care. This has been super draining, but I knew I had to talk to them. I already knew there was no coming back for my husband. And when I checked his messages, they said exactly what I thought they would say. I'm sorry, it's not what it looks like. Wouldn't mean for it to happen. Please come home. I love you. Blah blah blah. Just absolute BS. A small part of me thought maybe I could find it in me to forgive my sister as we only have each other. But after I opened her messages, all hope was lost. She used the same excuses we heard our father use when he cheated on our mother and beat us. She said the same things our mother would say when she would excuse our dad's behavior and also beat us. I spoke to her this morning and asked her to tell me straight up who, what, where, when, and why. She told me back in July when I went on a girls' trip, she was at our house and joked to my husband that I would cheat on him on a girls' trip because that's what always happens. He said nah, and they joked about it, but she said he could get even with me and they ended up doing it once. One time led to 2 to 3, then to whenever they could do it. There was never any evidence or signs or anything that I was going to or even thinking of cheating. I told her we were done, and there was nothing she could do to bring us back together. I later received a call from an unknown number. It was my mother, who I haven't spoken to in 7 years. Turns out my sister has been in contact with her and told her what had happened. And my POS mother, the same woman who beat me for breathing wrong, had the audacity to say this is what I get for taking her daughters away from her. It hurts so much. I know things are going to get messier and this is going to be a long few years. I've now lost all my blood relations. I need to get all my things and find a new place. I want to show them that I can and I will thrive without them. Again, thank you all from the bottom of my heart for all the love and advice. And to all the people in the comments that could relate to me, I'm so sorry. I'm very proud of you for taking charge and standing up for yourself. I know it's very hard, but you got this. You will get through this. Thank you for your kind words. It's pretty hard losing the only family I had, but I'm trying so hard to stay optimistic. A betrayal like this is freaking devastating. It will be long and hard and draining, but I will make it. Screw them. Family is more than blood. You happen to have some amazing friends. Keep them. You can do it, and you will make it through this. Your sister basically instigated the whole thing, and you had best believe this was very intentional on her part. She waited until you were gone, then went around to your husband and told him you would cheat on him, and he was stupid enough to go along with it. I'm not condoning your husband at all, as he is definitely trash, but your sister is definitely the worst here. You sound like you have great friends around you, and I hope you can get in for some therapy as well, as this level of betrayal is huge and devastating. Make sure you tell everyone exactly what happened and shame both of them. No one will think worse of you. They will see them for the disgusting a-holes they both are. Thank you for your comment. It's a hard pill to swallow, but yes, she did instigate the whole thing. Why? I don't know. And my ex-husband is very stupid and pathetic to go along with it. Sorry, but your husband didn't take much convincing, did he? He is trash. I have never, and will never, understand why people cheat. Best of luck, and I'm proud of you. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for inviting all but one of my siblings on vacation? Original post. I'm female 32 and my husband male 36, and our children typically spend one vacation every year with my older sister Mary 37, her husband John 39, and their children. The kids are very close and spend a lot of time together. My sister and I have 2 younger sisters, 31 and 27, and a younger brother, 25. This year, I extended an invite to sisters 39, 27, and brother. An invite that was not extended to sister Selena, 31, because a few years ago, she and my brother-in-law John had an affair. Mary worked very hard through therapy to stay married with John and to not ostracize Selena. Family members know of the affair, but it's not spoken of openly. Selena and John still see each other at family events but do not talk/sit with each other. Pretty awkward, but maybe the best possible outcome. My older sister and I found a beach house for our next vacation that had extra room, so invited the others to join and pitch in on the cost. Sister 27 agreed to come, and little brother declined so that it would not be all the siblings minus Selena. Somehow, Selena found out she was the only one to not receive an invite and is very hurt. Our mom says I should have invited her, knowing that she would have said no because she just had a baby and is a single mom on a very tight budget. Mom also thinks that a vacation with John, Mary, and Selena would be fine, that we should all act as if nothing ever happened. Even though Mary has expressed multiple times that while she still loves Selena, things can never go back to the way they were. Mary suffered from PTSD as a result of the affair. Because there are so many siblings, vacations are often split with only 2 or 3 of us going together. Nobody has expressed being upset about this in the past. I don't like the idea of inviting her, even knowing 99% she would say no. Because what if she did say yes, and I have to tell her it wasn't a real invite? Am I the a-hole? Edit to add clarification. John has also suffered real consequences from the affair, but asking him to stay at home while Mary and their young kids go to the beach is not really an option. All of the siblings have been really mature in loving and forgiving both parties. However, having them sleep in the same house would be putting Mary through trigger hell, the only one in the trio not at fault. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. She and John should have foreseen what would happen if they had an affair. John is lucky Mary kept him. I am sorry Selena feels left out, but she made her bed. It's just a pity you can't leave John out too. Edit to add. Again, this is a vacation Opie and Mary do every year. Opie isn't inviting John. Opie is inviting Mary, who wants to have her husband there along with her kids. It's just as much Mary's vacation as it is Opie's. If it was reversed and a vacation that Opie always did with Selena, then hands down Opie would have been the a-hole. But it wasn't. It isn't Opie's choice if Mary chooses to stay with her children's father and make it work. But I commend her for trying to stay on her side. And it isn't like Selena isn't invited to family events. Just vacations with Mary, so Mary can relax on said vacation. Depending on the age of their kids, it might not make for a very relaxing vacation for Mary if John doesn't come. Or maybe John is still a worthless a-hole and doesn't lift a finger. I don't know, but that seems like Mary's decision. Mary would never go on vacation without him. His kids would be heartbroken. He's a great dad in reality, and outside of the infidelity, was a good husband. Great dads do not teach their children that cheating is okay. He doesn't teach them that. They're young and have no inkling of the details that are not involved in the family drama, as it should be. I can believe Selena is excluded from these gatherings because she did an unforgivable thing. What I cannot understand is why John gets to stay married to Mary and gets invited to big family gatherings like everything is fine. He also did an unforgivable thing and has suffered no consequences. I don't even have a judgment, but I do not agree that this situation is the best possible outcome. I feel like that's up to Mary. She chose to stay married with him and wants him on the trips. Doesn't make her an a-hole for deciding to stay. Mom, I appreciate that you think that it would be fine if Selena came. But I disagree. Mary's still deeply hurt, and despite the fact that she manages to still see Selena as her sister, it would be wrong to take advantage of her goodwill by putting her in a bad situation. And it is simply wrong to extend an invitation to someone who is not actually going to be permitted to come. It unfairly gets their hopes up. And if they do accept the invitation, they then have to be uninvited, which is far more painful. Not the a-hole. However, there is a big difference between going on a trip with 1 or 2 other siblings versus all the siblings with one exclusion. It's not at all surprising that Selena is feeling hurt, that she has been specifically excluded. If you were ever in a situation like this again, I would proactively reach out to Selena and let her know that you were not intentionally excluding her from the sibling group. You were just unable to include her due to the history. She'll still be hurt, but at least she won't be blindsided when she inevitably hears about the trip she isn't invited on. Now for the update for anyone curious. By the way, thanks for the comments/suggestions/support. Turns out to be a classic case of the emotionally immature mother manipulating her children. I spoke with Selena directly to set the story straight, reiterate that I love her, etc. It appears that our mom fabricated the story of Selena being upset about the vacation. She understands completely, and honestly has no interest in vacationing with Mary and John. Our mom is unhappy about our family dynamic, and that things are not completely normal after the affair. She stated she feels like she's losing all of her children, and that she doesn't feel close to us. I don't know how stirring up drama fixes this. She's highly religious and critical of everything we do. So as my siblings and I grow older, we've really had to deconstruct our beliefs to make up our own minds, / thrive in our individuality. Needless to say, this does not make her happy. So if there are any threads on healing from childhood trauma / dealing with manipulative parents / advice on how to keep your mother at arm's length possibly, point me in the right direction. I don't think enough time and therapy in the world could possibly make me stay with someone who slept with my sibling. OMG, right? My friend's aunt was banging her sister's husband and got pregnant. She bragged about it and swore he was going to leave his wife for her. Welp, his wife gave him the ultimatum to choose, and he chose to stay with his wife and cut contact with his wife's sister. Still a gross situation. Did aunt keep the baby? She sure did. Of the nearly 8 billion people in the world, it shouldn't be that hard to not have an affair with your partner's sibling or your employee / employer. But what if it was an accident? Is the monthly theme of AITA siblings having affairs with their siblings' partners? Honestly, my sister and I had a talk when we were in high school. We both expressed how happy we are that we have completely different taste in men. This is just what I was thinking. My sister and I are both decent people, so we wouldn't sleep with each other's partners anyway. But the fact that neither of us are ever even slightly attracted to each other's partners makes it so much easier. John has also suffered real consequences from the affair, but asking him to stay at home while Mary and their young kids go to the beach is not really an option. Poor guy. All he did was screw his wife's sister. I hope he's getting the emotional support he needs. The comments from the post gave me more context. 1. Without John there, all the childcare of 3 young kids would fall on Mary, and that means she wouldn't have a vacation at all. And 2, this was always Opie and Mary's way for their kids to have nice bonding time. But if half the kiddos are missing their dad, the whole thing would be pointless. In my opinion, their mistake was opening the chance of drama by inviting other siblings on their yearly thing, but hindsight is 2020. My husband and son both lied to me. Original post. I'm 34 female, husband is 36 male, we've been married for 12 years. A few weeks ago, my husband said that he has seen another woman handle situations that he didn't think I would be able to. I tried to talk to him about why it bothered me, and he just told me it was a passing comment, and I shouldn't take it so seriously. That he had meant to simply compliment her by saying she was handling so much on her own, and he was impressed by it. I told him it was completely unnecessary and hurtful to compare her to me to compliment her. He told me I was being unreasonable and jealous, and that he didn't mean anything by it. After that, he didn't say anything else about it, so I dropped it. Then yesterday when I came home from work, I saw a pair of women's Fendi sunglasses on our kitchen island, kind of hidden by our fruit bowl. I picked them up and asked my husband whose they were. He looked confused and was like, "Aren't they yours?" And I said no. Then our oldest son, 11, is sitting at the kitchen table and goes, "Oh, those are my friend Allison's. I took them home on accident." I was immediately suspicious. These are very expensive sunglasses. And I know Allison's mother, and she doesn't seem like the type to let her child bring something worth that much money into school. My son kept insisting they were hers, and he had just taken them home accidentally on the bus, and he'd return them to her tomorrow. But I said no, and that I'd return them to her mother in person so I could make sure they got to them safely. When I spoke to Allison's mother, she confirmed that they weren't Allison's, and that neither she nor her daughter owned sunglasses like that. When I told my son and my husband this, they both feigned ignorance. My son went from saying he could have sworn they were Allison's to, well, maybe not maybe. I don't know whose they are. And then my husband said that he does remember taking the sunglasses out of our son's backpack when he was getting out his lunch stuff. Then my younger son, 9, just came home and recognized the sunglasses. They are Noelle's, the woman my husband helps out sometimes. The same one who he told me to not be upset that he compared me to her. I'm going to confront him when he gets home. I don't know what to say to him. I feel as though I'm going to immediately burst into tears. Can someone please give me advice on what to say? And also just general advice, please? I never thought I would be in this situation. Now for the top advice before reading the update. My main concern is why your son helped him lie. And if you know he helped her, why he has to be secretive? Seems too many red flags in your relationship. The son knew his mother would be upset to have that Noelle woman in her home. He also may have seen his father together with that woman in a situation. A, either his father told him to hush up, or B, he knew his mother would be very upset about. None of it is good or positive, really. By the way, other women leave things in their lovers' houses, just so the wife can find them, and fight with or leave their husbands. This is how I found out my husband was cheating. His mistress left her comb on the floor of my car. I know the truth. You have one chance to tell me your side. Then you get to choose marriage counselor or divorce lawyer. Lie to me again and it will just be divorce lawyer. Also, talk to your son about lying. I think this is the more nuanced response. Considering husband is lying, gaslighting, and bringing the kids into the lie, it's better to tackle this head on and get honest answers. Hope he already knows what's up. She just needs him to admit it. Record a conversation though, Opie. You'll need that for the divorce attorney. Don't confront. Don't say another word to your husband and your older son. Call a lawyer immediately and hire a PI. Get your ducks in a row for a divorce. He has already moved on to Noel and your son is backing him up. Don't bother to do anything other than leave and show your independence without him. Is it painful? Don't give him the pleasure of seeing you upset. Do this now and play the long game since he is cheating. If the house is in both names or her name, she should not leave. She needs to establish that she's the primary parent, that leaving the house will be a hardship on the kids. Therefore, she should get the house into divorce. She should pack his bags and put them in the driveway, then change the locks. So when he gets home from work, he'll know he's not welcome. Leave your divorce lawyer's info with his stuff. Then, have a serious talk with your older son about the two very wrong things his dad is doing and that he is helping him do by lying to her. Cheating is never something to be supportive or proud of because it is despicable and will break not only your partner's or spouse's heart, but will destroy the whole family unit because all trust is gone. Now for the update. So I found a pair of sunglasses on my kitchen table. My oldest son immediately claimed they were his friends, even though it was pretty obvious they were an adult woman's. Even after the story began to fall apart, him and his father continued to lie. My youngest son ended up identifying the sunglasses. When he got home, my husband admitted they were Noel's. She has been over there while I was at work. My husband claims he has not realized they were hers. He thought they were mine, which is why he didn't move them. My older son realized whose they were immediately, which is why he lied about them. He knew I was about to find it all out and was trying to cover. My younger son recognized them because apparently they have gone with Noel on numerous places on my husband's days off while I was at work. I don't know what he told my older son, but he told my youngest son not to tell me about Noel and her son hanging out with them because I would feel bad about being left out because I was at work. I returned the glasses to Noel, who seemed horrified. She was under the assumption I knew about their hangouts. I asked her, why did you think I would be okay with this? And she looked really confused and told me, why would I care if we were separated anyway? I told her we absolutely were not separated. We were very much still together. Apparently, my husband told her we had not been together except for cohabitating and co-parenting for months now. I confronted my husband with this information, and he didn't deny it. He apologized, but said he had developed feelings for Noel, but didn't want to risk our marriage until he knew if they were true feelings or just attraction. He left the house, but Noel wants nothing to do with him because now she knows the truth. He lied to her as well, and she's furious. I'm speaking to a lawyer today, and I'm not going to speak to him again except through lawyers, since I don't have anything else to say to him. I really feel for you, as your world has been turned upside down. I can imagine you'd have so many questions to ask him and your sons. I've been wanting to use this as an opportunity to teach your boys what not to do in a relationship for when they're older. I hope you can eventually find peace and forgiveness so that you can move forward. Perhaps this will be a blessing in disguise, and you meet a true gentleman that is worth of your love. Thank you for your beautiful and optimistic response. I'm going to try to do that. Thank you very much. Wow, he's awful. You're doing the right thing. To ask your kids to lie to you is the lowest of the low. At least you can now go to bed at night in peace knowing that you've taken out the trash. I'm torn. As a dad, it is the lowest to ask your kids to lie to hide your affair from the kid's mom. Or is it the lowest to have your kids hang out with you and your affair partner? Absolutely both. Imagine putting children in that position. We bring them up to tell the truth and have respect, but then he encourages them to lie and hide things from their mother. Scum. Listen, as an adult who found themselves having to cover for their father's transgressions at a young age, please put the blame where it should be. A child of 11 will do anything in their power to keep the peace and keep their parents together. It makes them feel like they have some power, which makes them feel safe. Please do not further parentify your son, as your husband has already done, by making him a player in this situation. This is not the time for conversations about lying and right and wrong. That can come later. My suggestions is speak to your sons and apologize that they had to be involved at all, and tell them that you and your husband love them no matter what. Sorry you and your children have to deal with this. This is really well put. You can tell a lot of the other commenters here came from good families and don't understand the stress a kid can feel to keep their parents from fighting. Next story. My fiancé is planning on leaving me to be in an open relationship with his co-worker. I, 24 female, had been with my fiancé, 27 male, for 4 years, and he proposed to me on my birthday last year. I always thought our relationship was great and that we were unstoppable, but I guess that I was wrong. Usually, he has always let me use his phone, for games, or because my phone would screw up. Recently, he was being very distant, and even getting upset if I ask for his phone. We're always open about our phones, and if the other would like to be sure if we haven't been disloyal, we were both okay with it. I shrugged it off as maybe he's planning something for my birthday, since it's coming up. Then a couple days ago, he asked me if we could try opening up the relationship. This took me by surprise, because he's never been the type to get physical or emotional with anyone else but me. I tell him I'm uncomfortable with the thought of that, and he kept explaining how it could build us up emotionally, to see other people's perspectives and how we can improve our love. I continued telling him no, and saying that it doesn't feel right. I never wanted to be with anyone else but him. He has been trying to convince me for the past day, but I didn't budge. He ended up saying whatever, and going on a walk for a couple hours. When he left, I cried my eyes out because it made me think he wasn't being loyal. Unluckily for him, he had left his phone on the counter in the kitchen, so I took it upon myself to check. And to my horror, I saw my worst nightmare. He was messaging a coworker we'll call Kim for a couple weeks. Messages saying I love you and let's plan a little date together. I cried and continued reading. Then I saw that they were trying to plan a way to leave me or get an open relationship started. Seeing as though the open relationship plan failed, they started saying that he should leave me and they can be in an open relationship. I'm so hurt and distraught by this. I thought he would be with me through thick and thin. Not to mention, I have a 6-year-old daughter that has absolutely loved him and thought of him as her dad. I'm crushed and betrayed for both me and my daughter. She was going to be our flower girl and have the prettiest dress, and now I have to tell her everything. My worst nightmare is coming to fruition, and I can't stop crying. I'm trying to be strong for her, but it's so hard. As I type this, I'm watching my daughter play with her dolls while watching TV, and my fiancé is upstairs playing a game. For now, I'm thinking of my next steps and staying strong for my girl. Now for the top advice before the mini update. What a prick! He wanted to open it up so he could cheat on you without it being cheating. All this drivel about learning how to be a better couple. Sorry you and your daughter are going through this. It sounds cliche, but it really is better you found this out now before getting married. Not good either way, but he is a loser. OP, you don't need a man like your fiancé. It's over when your partner wants an open relationship. Leave him. Ex-fiancé, I would hope. Oh my god, what a douche canoe. Hey, OP, I'm cheating on you already. Can we open the relationship so I can pretend I'm not a cheating douche canoe? What a piece of turd. Complete piece of turd. I feel so horrible for OP. This must be incredibly difficult for her. But also, at least they weren't married yet. If the POS kept this to himself longer, he would have essentially trapped her. Definitely tell your family, his family, and your friends about what's happening. It's easier to be strong when you lean on a support group. Yes, cheaters thrive in the dark. Expose him for the POS that he is. I sent my now ex-husband's dating profile to his sister. Edit. I'm taking everyone's advice, and I do plan on leaving. I'm going to come up with a plan to put all of his stuff out whilst working one day and completely cut him out. Also, a couple questions I've seen that I should clarify on. With his messages, he had asked me a couple days ago to open the relationship, and I told him no. I should have clarified that for the past day he had been non-stop pestering me over opening the relationship. My fault. At the time of writing, I was so distraught. After asking me the first time, he told Kim what my answer was. And Kim had said, "You should just leave at this point, etc., etc." But he thought it was best to keep trying to convince me. Like I said, that was my bad. It was mostly Kim saying that he should leave me. Also, some people may be confused at him leaving his phone while he left. We live in a wide open rural area, and usually when he needs to blow off steam, he goes through the backyard and to the woods that's a little down the yard. I never had a need to check his phone, but I trusted him at the time. He usually left to blow off steam or something. Again, I'm so sorry for any confusion during my distraught time of writing this. And thank you again. Last story. My 39 male ex-wife 37 female wants to reconcile our marriage. I 39 male have been divorced from my ex-wife for 7 years now. We were together for 8 before that and married for 4 years. We have 2 children together ages 14 and 12. We co-parent and each get our own week with the children. I love my wife deeply, but the sad truth is she couldn't stay away from the male attention. She is a very beautiful woman, has been her whole life. Men would always look when they walked by, and I used to think how lucky I was she was mine. Until I found out she was entertaining these men as well. I had found texts in her phone multiple times that I had let go of because it was over the phone. Then I'd find out she allowed them to take her on dates or out to bars secretly after her work shift ended. She promised it was never intimate, and I never had any proof it was. But who knows? She said she just liked the compliments and the idea of how many guys like to pay attention to her, that it gave her some weird high. That wasn't my cup of tea though, so I ended the marriage. She's spent the last years in therapy, in which she's been diagnosed with histrionic personality disorder and OCD. She claims she's doing really well. And at our last drop-off with the kids, she told me she had told her therapist she'd like to reconcile her marriage a year ago. And she hasn't been on any dates or tried to be flirtatious. She said her goal was to fix us, that she wanted to be a family again if I was willing to try. Knowing she has a diagnosis for why she wants this attention so badly, and are actively getting help to contain these behaviors, opens my mind up greatly for the possibility of a happy marriage. But I am also not fully sure I can trust her. I want nothing more than my family back, but I don't want a repeat of the first time. Advice? You were divorced for 7 years. Assuming she's over her emotional issues, there is still the issue of neither of you being the same person as you were 7 years ago. How did she spend her 7 years? I assume it can be relevant, as you may hold resentments towards her. Never mind how she spent it. How did it be? I can't imagine after 7 years of divorce wanting to remarry the person, as I'd assume that I'd be a completely different person. I do believe that people can change, and 7 years is a long time. So maybe Opie's wife has made some big changes / progress. So in this situation, it seems to me like starting completely fresh and dating again would be a better option than jumping straight back into marriage. They'll basically need to get to know each other again in my eyes. I almost believe she wants back because she's getting older. Hugh divorced when she was in her physical prime. My guess is she has been getting significantly less attention as she has aged and wants to go back to the man who loves her for her. I was thinking this too. She wants Opie back for the love and security it offers her. Her looks are fading, and she knows it. This thought crossed my mind as well. Great that she's been working on herself, but at 37, the dating thing may be dwindling. I'd be concerned about her motivations. And it would take a lot to prove to me she's faithful, after literally dating guys behind Opie's back. I also have a hard time believing it wasn't physical. Maybe it wasn't, but she was already so far past the boundary that there's no reason to believe her. Update. Am I the a-hole for checking out of my relationship after my girlfriend cheated on me? Original post. I, male 31, have been in a relationship with my girlfriend Mia, female 29, for a bit more than 2 years. Overall, life has been good for us, and our relationship has always felt very strong. For most of our time together, I imagined that we'd eventually get married, have kids, and grow old together. Mia said that is what she wanted several times herself. Starting around June of this year, Mia started acting strangely. She became stressed out with her work and became very snappy towards me. I tried my best to be supportive during this time, given that she had just started a new job, but she would constantly pushing me away. I got suspicious when I started noticing how protective she was of her work phone around me. She'd be reading stuff on it all the time, but always looked so happy while doing so. Whenever I would come by, she would quickly lock the screen. This continued for a few weeks, and I'm not proud to admit, but I started shoulder surfing Mia whenever she'd bring out her work phone. And after about a week of this, I learned a password. What's ironic is around this time I was also ring shopping, as I had planned on proposing some point in the fall, but that never panned out. So, one day in August when Mia was out with some of her friends, I took this as an opportunity to go through her work phone, and what I found completely destroyed me. I really don't want to get into details, but in summary, Mia started a relationship with one of her coworkers, Paul. From what I can tell, it went on for about 2 months. Paul kept on pressing her to leave me, but Mia seemed reluctant and kept on giving him excuses for why she couldn't leave, but reassured him that she'd continue seeing him. When Mia came home, I confronted her and she surprisingly owned up to it. She apologized and cried more than I ever remember. She said she never meant to hurt me and that she'd take it back if she could. She claimed that her stress and depression clouded her judgment and that Paul was a loser who couldn't compare to me. I don't remember much of the conversation, but do remember it ending with us agreeing to take a break from each other for a few weeks so that I could gather my thoughts. She moved in with one of her friends that night. The pain and disappointment I felt over the next few weeks were crippling. Over time, I feel like I completely morphed into an angry and bitter person. I honestly don't even recognize myself sometimes. Mia returned back to my apartment at the start of October and apologized again. She said that she couldn't even imagine the pain she brought me and has vowed to never cheat again. I do believe her, as she has asked Paul to not contact her unless it was work-related, and she has been trying her utmost to repair things with me. She is constantly putting in maximum effort to please me and is adamant that there is no one else she'd rather spend the rest of her life with. We have also started couples therapy on Mia's dime. But to be completely honest, I'm checked out of this relationship, as everything about Mia annoys me now, from how she looks to the sound of her voice. At this stage, I've made up my mind that I want to dump her. The experience has spoiled this relationship for me. I've also started chatting with some other women on dating apps. I've been on some dates and spent a few nights away. I'm 90% certain that Mia knows what I'm up to, as I have not been discreet about what I've been doing at all. For example, a few nights ago I was going on a date. I'm guessing Mia knew, as she asked me where I was going. I told her it was none of her concern. She seemed hurt by this but didn't press me any further. She'll randomly say things like, "I love you," or "You mean so much to me," but I either just nod or act like I didn't hear her. I was telling a few of my friends about this last night, and they both think I should just dump her immediately since I'm wasting my own time, and Mia isn't worth getting angry over. One of them suggested that I post here to gain some insights from a wider audience, since it thinks I'm being a bit of an a-hole for dragging this out. So here I am. For those wondering, I'll probably be dumping her and kicking her out of my apartment at some point in January. You're the a-hole. You would have been fine if you just broke up with her, but she's clearly trying to make things work with you, and you are cheating on her and stringing her along. Break up with this poor girl already. Goddamn. Poor girl? She a damn user. And how is she a user? She sees what you did is wrong. She's actively trying to fix it. She's bringing you both to therapy with her own money, and you are cheating on her. Seems like you are the user in this situation. Using me to pay for our living expenses so that she can focus on her student loans. All under the guise of loving me, yet being with another guy on the side. If that isn't using, then I don't know what is. Everyone sucks here as you're now cheating too. What the heck, dude? Just end things and try to salvage a little integrity. Having been exactly his position, I'll go out on a limb and say he's not necessarily the a-hole. I do believe he should stop messing around and end it though, but only because what he's doing is detrimental to him, not her. We all react to trauma in different ways. Being cheated on by someone you not only loved, but thought you'd spend the rest of your life with, it was ring shopping mind you, almost feel like you've completely lost the person entirely. You legitimately grieve, because the person you thought they were has basically died, and all that remains is a husk of the person you loved. You see cruelly slapped together a puppet that smiles with her face, laughs with her voice, and touches with her skin, but it's not them anymore. And you're not even really sure it ever was. Some may even extrapolate this realization to other people and come to terms with the fact that you can't really know or trust anyone. Not completely. This kind of grief can take years to truly recover from. OP, you need to just dump her and move on, for your sake. You'll never really begin to start healing until the ghost of your loved one is out of your life. I'm sorry for your loss. Not the a-hole. You tried with therapy. It didn't work. That's not your fault. It's hers. Nothing to feel guilty about. Honestly, I've made up my mind before therapy. At the time, I low-key just wanted her to waste some money on it. Yeah, it was vindictive, but at the time I wanted to do that. Dude, she blamed cheating on depression and said the guy was pathetic. If she went to him, she couldn't have thought very highly of you. Lol, she said it to make me feel better, I guess. But in retrospect, it's like, you cheated on me with someone who is pathetic by your own admission. Yeah, it's pretty funny for her to say, this guy's pathetic. Then have him be the reason she ruined a relationship. She's admitting she's a slut who is willing to ruin something good for someone pathetic or just too stupid to say no. Glad to hear you are doing well. You'll find someone better. Now for the update. I ended up dumping my girlfriend last night. She was very upset, but I think she knew it was coming. She's been walking in eggshells around me since we got from our break, and I have to admit she was definitely trying to make things work. I'm also fairly certain she knew I was going on dates with other women for the last few weeks because I wasn't being particularly discreet about that. She did cry a little and suggested that we continue therapy, but I declined this offer as I don't think this relationship was salvageable. She's staying with one of her friends across town for now, and they'll be collecting her things on Sunday. She needs to find somewhere new to live as her friend realistically cannot house her for long. And considering how expensive and difficult it is to find somewhere, I suppose it will be tough for her for the next few weeks. I do somewhat regret wasting so much of my time keeping her around and pretending I was getting something out of therapy, but whatever. Can't change the past. I'm just glad she's out of my hair now. I don't blame you for leaving after she cheated. That's an unforgivable thing for me and for a lot of people. However, pretending you wanted to work it out when you weren't and cheating yourself wasn't the way to go. Yeah, they both seem slimy to be honest. He gives me the impression he wanted to just see if he could do better, and if he couldn't, he would forgive. Blah. Meh, the way I see it, there's an element of forfeiture involved. She cheated. I don't think he should have to decide how to handle it based on her feelings. If the cheater gets manipulated and cheated on themselves, that's a-okay with me. Even if she cheated, which is horrible, feigning you wanted it to work and going on dates with other women while still in a relationship makes you a sleazy dude too. In retrospect, it wasn't great for me. But honestly, this experience made me bitter and I'd say a worse person, so it felt right at the time. You can blame her for what you did, but you cannot blame her for your emotionally immature reaction and manipulative tactics. Hoping that you can let go of this in a healthy way and treat your next partner with more dignity and respect than that, regardless of what they do to you. I don't know, I only acted the way I acted because she cheated. The reason she wanted us to work it out was because I was such an excellent partner beforehand. Like I said above, the experience made me bitter. Dude, how can you make the point and still miss it? That is the problem. An experience can make you bitter, yes, but you chose to react in an unproductive manner. You can say to yourself, yeah, I showed her, but you also held yourself back and dated other people while technically still committed. To be honest, that isn't much better than cheating. You mistake me. At the time, I wasn't trying to be the bigger person. I wanted to waste her time and money and let her think that we could work things through. I dumped her because I eventually wanted to move on and was tired of keeping her around. I promise you this feels good for now, but in the long run, I don't gather you learned anything from what happened and will probably walk right into a similar situation soon. Sticking around while you date other women openly and pretend to go to therapy is a crappy thing to do, regardless of what you did to deserve it, and nothing about you did should make you feel any better. Growth is an option. Now for the last update. My ex came by to collect her things this morning. She texted me last night asking if the morning would be better than the afternoon we had planned. I accepted this since I kind of wanted this out of the way as soon as possible. She came with one of her friends, and they stayed for about an hour. We didn't talk much during that time. They just packed her things and took a few trips downstairs to put them in a car. I stayed in my home office the entire time, as I didn't want to interact with them. Once they finished, my ex came back downstairs alone, left me my second mail keys on the kitchen counter, and called me over to lock the door. We said our goodbyes and she left. She seemed and looked very upset throughout the entire ordeal, but thankfully left quietly. It's now over. My apartment feels kinda strange now. If I'm being completely honest, I'd seriously consider moving myself if it wasn't in such a convenient location. Redecorate instead of moving. Make it your own. Things that you did not like but you did. This. Buy a new bed, sheets, etc. Change the bedroom completely if you can't afford it. Make it your apartment and keep it neat. Fortunately, she's been keeping the house very tidy for the past few weeks, so I don't have much cleaning to do. Though I have started rearranging things and do plan on donating a bunch of this stuff. A new candle or incense will make it smell your own too. Not the a-hole. You did what you had to do. Things will get easier over time. Take solace in the fact you still have your self-respect. The world is full of lonely young women. There's a girl who values you as much as you value her waiting for you. You just have to go find her. Good luck. Thanks, I appreciate it. At this stage, I think I'll probably be taking a break from relationships for a bit. Lol. Not the a-hole. Crazy that people were giving you grief for going on dates when she was still living with you, insisting that you were stringing her along. With this logic, your ex was also stringing you along while she was cheating on you, but none of them brought that up. Lol. Regardless of whether I was stringing her along or not, I don't feel too bad about doing it. I wanted to waste her time and money, and once I had my fill of that, there was no more reasons for us to stay together. Sure, I wasted my own time, but I now feel that we both leave this relationship being burnt versus just me being burnt. You shouldn't feel bad. She didn't care about what she did to you and then try to love bomb you to get you to stay. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not impregnating my high school crush? I, 37 male, am a single father to a beautiful girl, 9 female. She is my pride and joy, and life is great with her. But she is the only one I will ever have, as I have been snipped a few years ago. I don't really tell people about it. It's my own business. Not that I don't want any more children, I just don't want any more baby mamas. My daughter's mother and I have an amicable relationship, but it's taken a lot of work and emotional anguish to get here. I can't say the next one would be as amicable, so I made a decision to get myself vasectomized. Maggie, 37 female, has been a crush of mine for the past 20 plus years. She's unmarried, no children, and works as a gymnastics instructor, which keeps her fit. She's just as beautiful as the girl I've fought over in high school. I've moved away while she stayed in our hometown, but we've kept in touch and grown to be really good friends. She adores my daughter and comments frequently on how much my daughter has grown in years, with love reacts and emojis. Nothing out of the norm, I just took it as her being nice. A couple years back, I admitted my crush to her as I feel we're mature enough to be embarrassed by it, or her make fun of it. She took it well, but we never pursued anything from it. That is, until this last Christmas. My daughter and I flew home to spend holidays with my family. My parents were ecstatic to see their granddaughter, and my brother's kids were happy to see their cousin. Maggie saw that I was in town through social media and messaged me. We made a date for lunch when my parents were available to watch my daughter. We met at a coffee shop and she threw her arms around me and put her head on my chest. High school me would have felt a little tight in the pants, but I just hugged her back. Coffee turned to dinner, turned to drinks. In the middle of drinks, the conversation turned intimate when she finally blurted out, "OP, put a baby in me," in between giggles, and I laughed along. I took it as an invite back to her place where we eventually ended up. I introduced Maggie to my daughter and they hit it off really well. I definitely felt this could sprout into a full-on relationship. My daughter isn't used to me dating as most of my time revolves around work and being a full-time father. She supported me pursuing Maggie and explained she can hang out with my parents and her cousins while I did my thing. We split the week between my hotel and her place. I flew back thinking we were going to be a thing for good. The last week she called me sad, telling me she's not pregnant, wouldn't always use protection. I asked if it was a good thing to get pregnant at the beginning of this relationship, and she broke down to confess that her bio clock was ticking and just wanted to get pregnant. She chose me because of how beautiful my daughter is, but it wasn't going to make me raise our child if I didn't want to. She has no intentions for a relationship. Am I the a-hole for not telling her about my procedure and can't give her a baby? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole and run. That's grade A crazy. She essentially used you and it backfired completely. They have doctors and sperm banks for that kind of thing, not your random old friend in social media that's daughter you think is pretty. That's crazy as heck and creepy. And a song sounds in the back of my head. She's a maniac, maniac. Yeah, I wonder why she's still single. Definitely do not agree with people saying Opie should have known and calling abuse, etc. He got the info about baby fever after they, what he thought, started a relationship. How can he know the "put a baby" comment wasn't just a flirt? It's easy to judge in retrospect when you know the details, and specifically as he obviously only presented the things that were said that is relevant for the story, and not everything else in their interaction. If they spent a whole day and night plus several more dates together, talking and interacting, that one single comment wouldn't have been a clue to anything at all. Not the a-hole. Yeah, would have thought she just meant she wanted to have fun in bed, since that seems to be a common term for it lately. Would not have thought she was serious about it. And the vasectomy just paid for itself. Not the a-hole. P.S. Run. She crazy. Update. I found my 28 female sister's 41 female mommy blog and I don't know what to do. Original post. I've been sitting on this all day and would really love some help here. My older sister June has been living with me, my husband Daniel, 39 male, and our daughter Leah, 1.5-year-old female, since before Leah was born. She had to move in with us around March 2019 because she lost her job after a fight with her boss and couldn't find new work in her field as there are not many openings in our area. She'd been living with her long-term boyfriend before that, but they'd gotten into an argument of some sort. I don't know the details, and he ended up kicking her out. She'd had nowhere to go since we didn't have any family nearby. So I talked with Danielle and asked if she could stay with us until she got back on her feet. She could help me around the house since I was pregnant at the time. My husband works long hours and didn't like the idea of me being home alone, especially while pregnant, so agreed, saying it was a good idea. June had been very thankful for the place to stay and was a great help around the house, and an even bigger help after Leah was born. I still did/do the bulk of the childcare with Danielle right there to help when he's home. But it's nice to have someone else at home during the day to share the workload with. And Leah loves her Aunt Junie. The problem came today when I was looking up matching mommy and baby princess dresses, since I was hoping for Leah and I to be matching queen and princess for Halloween this year. Yes, I'm one of those people who plans costumes way ahead. Well, I got sucked down the mommy blog rabbit hole and spent almost an hour looking through blogs and stuff until I saw a familiar kitchen. It was familiar because it was my kitchen. I know, because I decorated my kitchen myself, and it's a rustic sort of country theme. And I have 3 antique copper jello molds my grandma gave me hanging on the wall next to the fridge. Plus, I could see the treat bell I'd made for our kitty hanging on the fridge handle. She rings it when she wants a treat/attention. I clicked on the picture and it took me to a mommy blog run by mommy with a name super similar to mine. The more I scrolled through the blog, the more disturbed I got. She had pictures of herself up in my house like it was hers. In one, she was even wearing one of my blouses. Pictures of her and Leah all tagged mommy and daughter, and even a couple pictures of her, Leah and Daniel, that I recognized. I'd been in the photos, but she'd apparently cropped me out of them. What do I do? How the hell do I even broach this? Hey sis, what's up with this blog of yours? Why are you pretending to be me? Why are you saying you're my daughter's mother? When did you have time to wear my clothes and pose for pictures with my child? What the heck is going on? I put down all the info I could think of in my scrambled state right now. I don't think I missed anything. Any solid advice would be stellar. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Oddly enough, I've been in a similar situation. My younger sister was signing up as me on social media, doing in-depth searches for information about me, registered for my high school reunion. And the last straw, used her job at a financial institution to dig into my accounts and offer unsolicited financial advice. I found out when I couldn't access the group for the reunion until I had a friend check it out and I was already in there, posting pictures and sending messages. I went with the nuclear option. I called her up and told her that she had to stop. At first, she denied any wrongdoing, but I had all the information right there in front of me. In the end, I told her that she had 2 options. Stay out of my business and delete all the online profiles, or I'd call her employer and never speak with her again. She confessed to the non-creepy portions of it and swore she wouldn't access my information again. Suddenly, the social media accounts were gone. Then she was fired for using her position to access accounts without reason in an unrelated case, so that sorted itself out. I was happy I called her out. It made healing easier. I had very little contact with her for a few years, but eventually time healed all wounds. I still don't trust her because these types of identity theft are truly strange. It shows you that they have no boundaries regarding you. That's really messed up. Did she ever explain why she faked being you? I can't wrap my head around wanting to lie about being someone you know and are close with. She must have some mental issues going on, depression, or even some kind of psychotic episode. I don't think that should affect your reaction though, except maybe to suggest she sees a therapist. Whatever is going on for her is hurting you and you need to protect yourself. Your husband and your baby is a priority. Maybe if you have other family, you can ask them to support her in some way. Living in your house for free whilst lying to your face? That's enough to warrant telling her to stay elsewhere minimum. Photos of your child online without your permission? This is risky at best and seriously dangerous at worst. Pretending to be married to your husband and to be your baby's mother online? She's lying to you, your husband, your child, and all her followers. and potentially monetizing/building a career using your life and resources. Yeah, I think you need to tell your husband and ask her to leave together. She's putting your child at risk, if nothing else. Reading all of this is honestly making me feel sick with worry. Plus, those are just the concrete, non-emotional things. I can only imagine how violating it must feel. Someone spoofed my Instagram earlier this year. They grabbed several of my photos and tried to add people I knew. It was honestly unsettling, and I felt weird and kind of violated for a while. This is so much worse. Her home? Her child? Her identity? They make Lifetime movies about this stuff. Speak to your husband before you speak to her. You should put up a united front, and you want this to be a consistent message. She's massively crossed so many lines. It's time for Aunt Junie to move out, and this blog to be deleted. This really sounds like a horror film. You're not the only person telling me this whole situation screams horror movie, and that's freaking me out a little, not gonna lie. Now for the update. Well, the last almost a year has been a lot to process and work through, but a bunch of you nice readers have been begging me for an update, though I didn't want to do one until things calm down. But now things have settled enough for me to do so, so here I am. This is a super long one, so please bear with me. To start, June is no longer living with me and my family. First off, I sat Daniel down the next day and told him everything. I showed him the blog, and he was incredibly disturbed by it and upset too. He didn't like how many photos of Leah were up online without our knowledge. We don't post many pictures of her, and the ones we do are on our Facebook, which are private. He was worried if June was mentally okay, because this was nuts to him, and I said I wasn't sure, but I was worried about her too. We agreed we needed to talk to her ASAP. So he took Leah to his parents' house to stay the night before coming back home. Then I contacted our parents for a video call and told them about June's blog I found. I felt like they needed to know what was going on. Our mom was shocked, but our dad didn't believe it, so I sent them a link to the blog. They were quiet while they looked through it, and I talked to them about how we, Daniel and I, were understandably weirded out and concerned for June. Out of them both, Dad looked the most disappointed, while Mom just looked stunned. I told them June couldn't stay here anymore because of this, but we didn't want her out on the street, and they said she could come stay with them. They wanted to be there on call while we confronted June, but I said all of us together would probably make her feel like she was being attacked. So I said we'd call them afterwards, but do the confronting alone. But they'd probably have to help her move her stuff afterwards. Then after hanging up with them, I made sure I had my laptop there half shut with the blog open in case she tried to deny it. And I'd screenshotted/recorded countless pages of the blog in case she tried deleting to rug sweep, like some people warned me she might do, which ended up being a good idea. When June sat down, she asked what was wrong, and I asked her if she had anything she'd like to come clean to us about. She's still my big sister, and I love her, so I wanted to give her a chance to own up to this on her own. But sadly, she said no, so I told her I found her mommy blog. She was silent before saying she didn't know what I was talking about. So I opened my laptop and showed her the blog. She still tried to deny it and said it wasn't okay that I was blaming her for this, when we didn't even know if it was her doing it. She said she'd never even seen this thing before, the blog, nor ever been to the site it was on. Daniel told her to get her laptop and they'd start typing in the blog URL, and if no shortcuts appear, then she was telling the truth that she'd never been on the site. But if one did come up, well, she was lying. She said we were being ridiculous, but I insisted she get her laptop and just prove us wrong. If we were wrong, then we'd apologize. She hemmed and hawed for a bit before reluctantly getting her laptop. I noticed she was gripping it really tight, and after she opened it and signed in, I guess she realized she was backed into a corner, so she just broke down into loud sobs. She started babbling out apologies, and I asked her why she did this. Why even fake being me and starting a blog? I asked if it was for money or something, and she said no. So I asked her to please explain to me why this was a thing she felt the need to do. She explained that she did it to feel happy, and that she started it a little while after moving in with us. She said it wasn't fair that I had it all, while she was old and unwanted. I told her she wasn't old or unwanted. We love her, and so do our parents, and so does the rest of her friends and family. She got angry and said it wasn't the same. And there was no way for me to understand what she's going through because I was everyone's favorite. I didn't know what she was talking about and said I wasn't everyone's favorite. And that's when she exploded and said I was a blind a-hole if I didn't see how everyone in our lives always prefers me over her. She claimed everyone loved me more, and I always got what I wanted no matter what. And I'll admit, hearing that set me off. I told her that was actually not true. She was the oldest, and if we're being honest, she always got what she wanted before me, especially from our dad. I reminded her that he's bought her 3 cars over her adult life, a $2,000 laptop when she started college, and even paid off her first set of student loans for her. Meanwhile, he never did any of that for me. I didn't get to attend college because I didn't have the money, and didn't want loans because I wasn't sure I'd be able to pay them back on time. The closest I got to what she got was when our dad offered to sell me his old car for cheap, and gave me his old laptop after he upgraded with a brand new one. I said I loved her, but told her she had to see how delusional she was being if she thought I was somehow the favorite. I'll admit this was a sore spot for me. We got a little heated and argued back and forth, so I told her she needed to pack her things because she couldn't stay here anymore. My trust in her was severely damaged, and I didn't think her living with us any longer would be good for anyone. That's when she started bawling and begging me not to kick her out onto the streets. I told her she wasn't going onto the streets, and she could just go stay with our parents. They live a couple hours away, so it's not like she was going to be homeless. She kept crying and said she'd delete the blog if we let her stay. I refused and said she needed to go to therapy and not stay here. While we were talking, her trying to compromise and me rejecting it, she opened the blog and began deleting everything. She kept repeating through tears, I'll delete it, I'll get rid of everything and won't post anything else, as if to convince me to take back my decision. I made it clear through all of this that she was not staying here anymore no matter what she did. Once she deleted it, she said we were all good now, it's gone. But I told her it didn't matter, she wasn't staying here. That's when she got angry and said, but I deleted it, there's no problem now. Like deleting it made it not happen. We told her to get ready because our parents were on their way to pick her up and that they knew the situation. That caused her to start really flipping out. She was furious that I told our parents about the blog and said she wouldn't be able to look at our parents now. Things got messy, and police were called by a neighbor because of just how loudly she was screaming. The cops arrived before our parents, and she almost got taken into custody for being too aggressive and not settling down when the officer told her to calm herself the first time. So we had 2 cops there while she packed her stuff up. And then our parents arrived, and it was just a very tense affair. I told her I loved her as she was leaving, but she practically spat at me that she hated me. That hurt a lot, but I tried not to take it to heart. A few months passed and our mom kept me updated on how June was doing. Our parents said she needed to go to therapy. It was a condition of them letting her stay there. She started going and seems to be doing a lot better, but she still won't talk to me. Mom says she looks sad a lot, but she also sounds remorseful when they talk about me/my family. So I think the therapy is helping her come to terms with how not okay what she did was. And a couple months ago, she finally got in contact with me, called and apologized for what she did, how she'd acted, and for saying she hated me. Talking with her felt nice. She sounded sad but happy too. Much happier than she had when living with my family. Those who said she made a blog to cope were right. It turns out June was in a really not good place mentally after the breakup and being let go from her job, way more than she'd been letting on to anyone. She also told me she'd been on medication for anxiety and depression before/during when she dated her ex, but she'd shamed her for it, and eventually he convinced her she didn't need them with him in her life, which was wrong. Turns out the argument that ended their relationship was him being mad at her for being such a downer and making him sad. Yeah, so after seeing her therapist, she was put back on them and is doing much better, she says. So things didn't end all happy sunshine, but they didn't end as scarily as some people said they might, which is more than good in my book. Thank you everyone for all your advice. It really helped. What's sad is that, with so many mommy and daughter blogs out there, an auntie and niece blog would be a nice spin. And who knows, would have gotten pretty big, with your consent first, of course. It wouldn't have worked in the slightest. She didn't want to be part of Opie's life. She wanted to have what Opie had. It was the lack of love and family and a home with all the connotations included that drove her to this, not lack of something she can orbit. Wow, what a roller coaster. May I congratulate you, Opie? Despite having no prior experience in such circumstances, you handled your situation expertly. You were direct with her, and you handled the subject in such a way that she wouldn't feel attacked or threatened. So important. You involved everyone who needed to be involved before engaging her and covered your bases. Great job. I feel so sad for your sister, but definitely glad to hear she's finally getting the help that she needs. It sounds like you both are in a better place. Bittersweet though it may be for the moment. Thank you for the update. It's always so tragic to see how people get because they are forced or bullied into not taking their medications, since most times it causes them to snap. While June definitely had things to work on about herself, especially with acting as though Leah was her daughter and how she resented Opie, the ex was an a-hole for convincing her to go off her meds and then blame her for her brain chemistry. X has the same vibes as the girls who take their roommates' medicines and either throw them away because it's better for their health or out of spite. There are two stories that have roommates destroying meds, and the last one is about a roommate doing it to spite that OP, although I cannot remember why. It's concerning the number of people who think mental illness can just be wished away. I've read the stories you're referring to, or similar ones, and it's terrifying to think that people can be so willfully ignorant of others' pain, and so assured that they know best. Plus, suddenly stopping some antidepressants can really mess you up. Even tapering down can be unpleasant. June was 13 when Opie was born, so this "you were the favorite" mentality may come from the baby's receiving baby attention and I'm not, so baby's favorite. I'm also now wondering how much her depression played into it. Like June got a car from her dad. I wonder if he just didn't want to see her sad so thought it might help? But June's depression doesn't let her see those things.